Welcome to Reddit Town Hall. Subscribe for daily videos. What truly scares you? Serious? What human beings are able to do? You never know if the person next to you could snap. The concept of Alzheimer's, forgetting everything you have ever experienced since you ever existed and not even knowing it. I highly recommend to anyone wanting to know more about Alzheimer's and dementia to listen to Everywhere at the End of Time. It's a 6-hour-long album made with 1920s-40s music slowly degrading over 6 hours, and it can get pretty depressing. Cancer. Watched my dad die a slow painful death from that crap. Scares the absolute hell out of me. This is really silly, but being home alone and sitting watching or doing something at night when the curtains aren't drawn. I can't see anything out but something could see in. I live in the middle of nowhere, so the idea someone could just be watching me with such ease sacred the living shit out of me. Loneliness. Not the I have no partner kind of loneliness, but the kind of loneliness where I'm old and have nobody to talk to rely on, to call, to see. No family, no friends, no ancient colleagues. And wondering at which point in my life it all went wrong so much that it led me to this lonely hell. The future and not knowing if I'll be able to make it. The passage of time, every second that goes by won't ever come back, and I'm slowly crumbling to dust as approximately half my life is gone, and I become sympathetic to the dreams I had in the past while I sit waiting to be undone by forces beyond my control. Losing one of my kids. I honestly don't know what I would do if one of them got sick or was in an accident. I can't sleep/have nightmares about it all the time. I'm not mentally prepared to accept my friends and family members dying one day. I just have no idea how I'll continue living with my loved ones who literally raised me, especially my mum and dad. The knowing I am alone and I don't have the courage to actually do something for my good. I don't wanna, and it scares me to even try to figure out why. Waking up in a padded cell one day, realizing that everything I knew was a figment of my own imagination. Nothing I knew could be trusted, and my own mind is working against me. Being paralyzed, having my movements restricted, being buried alive. I have severe ADHD, so I constantly have to fidget to remain cool and to calm me down. So the idea of not being able to use parts of my body kinda overloads my brain and sometimes sends me into small anxiety attacks. The worst part of the idea of not being able to use my arms or control any of my movements, is that I couldn't even have power to end my own life. And I would have to suffer with it for years. My son dying suddenly. He's 10. I've had a dream for as long as I can remember. I've wanted the same thing for over 24 years. No matter how much I struggle, or skimp, and save, I just cannot catch a break and achieve it. I want a small house with some land in a rural area. I worked hard to get the money saved up to get there, but I've been so hard countered by life and RNG bullshit that I'm close to giving up. So my fear is that no matter what I do, I'll end up abandoning my dreams in raw desperation. It is a special feeling. When you're so poor it costs too much to live month to month for you to save money. Dying alone. I'm constantly worried and I feel the pressure of meeting someone, getting married and starting a family. I'm only 30 and single, but this thought scares the living hell out of me. The idea that my house will catch on fire while I'm not home and my dog will die alone in the fire. Waking up in a morgue. I have a condition where you collapse and then people think you are dead, so they take your body away, then hours later you wake up alive in a morgue. Going through life without living up to my true potential. My deepest fear is of one day accidentally or negligently killing someone. Every time it comes up in the news, I fall down this horrible empathy hole where I try to imagine living with the knowledge and guilt about what I've done for the rest of my life, and I really don't think I could handle it. I'm scared of driving because I don't think I'm confident or skilled enough to operate a machine that could kill someone so easily. That I might be irrecoverably damaged, and it doesn't matter how much work I will put in, I will never understand normal human things. Being raped, it freaks the shit out of me. I live in Brazil and rape here is something completely ignored, to the point where victims have the literal semen of rapists inside them. Doctors run the tests, they confirm the identity of the guy, and he doesn't get arrested. It's a real struggle to get some justice here, so the fear I have of the physical pain of being raped, the emotional pain, then later the humiliation of probably not being able to get any justice. It just scares me. Being alone the rest of my life, it's crushing my soul. Becoming depressed again, never want to go back to that place. Death. The idea that I will one day just cease to exist and that there will be nothingness for the rest of eternity is just such a frightening thought. Death. I completely understand that life is finite and has an end without exception, and I never thought about it before I was sent to fight in Afghanistan. It actually didn't hit me until my third combat deployment. But ever since then, I have this non-stop fear of death that eats away at me every single day. I worry about death so much now that I'm barely able to live my life. It's like death has already won. Edit, to fix typos. Home invasion. The death of my parents. Of course I argued with them a lot when I was a dumb teen, but we always had a good and understanding relationship. The thought of losing them is just more than I can handle. Aneurysms. No warning signs. No symptoms. You're just going about your life, then bam. Lights out. It's terrifying to realize your life can just end in the time between two heartbeats. Experiencing a memory lapse during a piece of music while performing a solo piano recital. My partner die before me. I think I won't be able to handle the pain of losing her. Impending doom. Knowing that you or someone close to you will likely die within a short but uncertain amount of time. The direction this world is going in. That I have so much trauma that I'll never be able to thrive. That despite working 10x as hard as anyone else just to be normal, I will never achieve anything. That I'll never feel unconditional love. That I'll die alone. Rabies, man. That shit's terrifying. Loud noises like fireworks and thunder. My reasoning is actually kinda sound. I have these asshole neighbors who like to set off fireworks in their backyard, and one day when I was outside feeding my animals, horses, dogs, and chickens, they set some fireworks off and one seemed to be defective or something, cause it came in my direction and literally exploded like 10 feet above me. I'd what kind of fucking fireworks they were using, or if they were normal, but that shit had me feeling dizzy and my ears were ringing and in pain, so hearing loud noises just makes me anxious now. What truly scares me is sleep paralysis. Jesus titty fucking Christ, have they gotten worse as I got older? Used to be just being awake but not being able to move. Then I heard voices over thunderstorms. Now it's shadow figures in the corner. What's next? Freddy Krueger forcing his way through my ceiling. Having a girlfriend or whoever I end up marrying die on me randomly, like a freak accident or something. Like the thought of getting that phone call, text or the cop at my door saying she's gone scares the ever-living shit out of me. The idea of solipsism, that you're the only conscious mind to exist and everyone is an illusion created by you. That I'm gonna die alone. Being alone without a partner. Being left behind and forgotten. Everyone I know is moving on to new things and I feel like nobody needs me. The possibility of World War III. I've always been interested in military/conflict history. The way things are going with China, it's not looking good. I live in Australia, and although we have a solid deal with the USA, ANZUS treaty, if either one of us is attacked/threatened, then basically by law the other has to jump in, and other countries, this conflict would be absolutely devastating. It would dwarf World War I and World War II with casualties. People view World War II as so long ago, something like that would never happen again. Well, it wasn't that long ago, and that's exactly what the world thought after World War I. As soon as China invades or attacks Taiwan, it's on. How far the conflict would go is anyone's guess. My guess is Russia would jump in for sure for economic and strategic reasons. Our military is tiny, 58,000 deployable troops across all three branches, Army, Navy, Air Force, and we don't have sufficient defenses against terror attack or invasion. No one's armed here either. This truly scares me because number one, it could happen. And number two, the most precious thing to me is my 9-month-old daughter, so the future is more important to me than ever. The only way out is a mutual destruction conclusion from both sides, similar to the Cold War. However, I think China is extremely confident and will only continue to grow even more so. Prince. Myself and what I might do if there's no one to help me when I'm at my lowest point. The MIT model tracking the potential collapse of society by 2040. MIT predicted in 1972 that society will collapse this century. New research shows we're on schedule. https://www.vice.com/n/article/z3xw3x/new research vindicates 1972 MIT prediction that society will collapse soon. Myself and what my potentials are, but potentials that will endanger others. Dying bad. Fire, car accident, cut in half or something but still alive, cancer, etc. Losing as much sleep as I have during my short 29 years of life, there's no getting that sleep back. I'm probably gonna have dementia by the age of 45. The concept of an eternity and lack of consciousness. AKA, what comes after death. I'm not afraid of dying. If I die for a reason. I'll accept my fate, whatever it may be. But what scares me is death. We have no clue what truly lies beyond, if it's nothing or everything. The concept that at some point I, the one thinking this up and writing about it, not the physical body and mind but more than that, could just stop existing terrifies me. More than that, is an eternity. I'm not constantly in fear every day, because I know I will die. I know that my life will culminate into one thing. But with an eternity, the idea that it won't end is what scares me. I don't know if there's an afterlife, and I don't know which one I'd go to, if there are multiple. The only two I want are infinite reincarnations at any time period, or to just become a bodiless entity that can roam the universe and pause time except from its perspective at will. But that eternity, and the possibilities of what comes after death, is what truly scares me. Every time I try to sleep I always think what would happen if suddenly everything stopped. Losing my brothers. And my cat. I'm afraid of anything that would cause me to lose my sense of hearing and sight, also loss of use of my hands. The things I enjoy most out of life are scuba diving and playing the ukulele. Hearing and sight would greatly detriment my ability to enjoy scuba diving. Use my hands would eliminate my ability to play my instrument. I guess I also need my hearing for that as well, lol. Disappointing my mom. Outliving my daughter. Not being able to breathe. I have severe asthma. That even though the world has enough technology and security cameras, someone could still disappear without a trace, never to be seen again. Losing my wife or worse my daughter. Working till I die. I have all the normal fears like fear of the unknown and things like that, but really scares me is having knowledge that I forgot something really important about myself and the people I love, Alzheimer's or dementia, or going insane. I also have a fear of hurting someone because of the choices I made. My own belief that we're simply chemical reactions with delusions of grandeur, and every myth about afterlives has come from humanity's desperate need to believe that more than oblivion awaits us. The next 50 years. Climate change is only going to get worse, because there are so many powerful corporations that have a vested, short-term interest in continuing to cause it. I'm terrified that our world and our civilization are going to suffer tremendous changes that many people will be unable to adapt to. I want to be able to have children and trust that they will be safe, and have the opportunity to prosper. The way things are sliding downhill, I don't think that's going to be the case. My kids may die in a famine, or a heat wave, or a civil war. Hell, the way our political system is dividing us, I might die in a civil war before I ever have kids. Doctors not being able to diagnose and treat my girlfriend's illness in a timely fashion. She is keeled over in pain from abdominal pain 18 hours a day and hasn't moved off the couch in 2 months. We have been to the ER twice now, but they can't do anything worthwhile. It took us 2 weeks to get the quickest GI appointment we could, then they gave her something that isn't working while wait for a follow-up a month later. On top of that, they said we need these labs done, but when I asked why we haven't gotten the paperwork to go do them yet, they said insurance hasn't approved, but insurance says they never submitted them. So now I am playing a back and forth between them. Meanwhile, I'm helpless here and unable to help her in any meaningful way. I'm at a loss. Growing old, alone and single with no wife or kids. That scares the shit out of me. Sending my kiddo into the real world. It's crippling, and it will be here in a couple years. Dying without ever experiencing the romantic love of another. Losing somebody close to me. I'm afraid it's going to make me become detached from life. Physically? There's been a bunch of humiliation robberies in my town where the attackers aren't after any valuable items, they just want to humiliate the victim. I'd rather not fall victim to that, and as the days are getting darker, I get more paranoid about it. Mentally? I've never been in a romantic relationship, and I'm afraid that the current road I'm on will lead me to never experiencing being in love and together with someone who is in love with me. I have a relative who has had that experience, so I know it can happen. The worst part is that you can only do so much yourself. At a certain point it comes down to luck, and it's possible to have 100 coin tosses in a row land on heads when you bet on tails. Existentially, I don't believe in the afterlife, and death is inevitable and something I will experience at some point, so I'm scared of what it will be like. I keep imagining what it will be like, and it's not really good for my well-being. Luckily I can distract myself better from this one. Dementia. How people would react to a pandemic that made zombies. Only thing I know for sure is toilet paper will be sold out. And zombie affiliation would be a partisan issue that would divide us. Not making it. I seriously worry that I'm not going to be able to make enough money and I'll end up on the streets, even though the job I wanna get has good pay. I currently have 20/20 vision, not sure if everyone uses this method to measure vision around the world, but it essentially means I have perfect vision. I am scared to lose it, whether that means having my vision become blurry or going blind. I'm worried that when I lose my vision I'll start to also lose sight of my dreams, future aspirations, and grip on reality. Very, very giant things. Like a modern-day cargo ship. Tomorrow. My country moving towards religious genocide in the next 2 to 4 years. Trying to keep my eyes closed in the shower. I don't know what it is, but nothing brings me more fear than that. The shampoo/face washing speed runs are real. The complete collapse of civilization that will most likely occur within 100 years resulting from climate change, biodiversity collapse, extreme political polarization and wealth inequality. I think it's inevitable and it's going to be absolutely catastrophic. I fear for my children's future and I just don't see any viable way to mitigate it. Something happening to my kids. When the baby monitor went off in the middle of the night a few years ago when my son was a few months old, I have never been that scared in my life. The combination of being in a deep sleep, the loud beeping alarm, the thought your child isn't breathing, and in those few seconds to run down there, the scenarios going through my head were insane. And when I got down there he had just rolled off of the mat. It took my hours to come down from being that heightened. It's interesting how much things truly terrify you before children and how much they change once you have children, with the realization of how fragile they are and what could happen to them. Death of my family members. Seriously, if somehow some way I became psychologically unable to ward off my inner demons. Clowns. My parents or siblings dying while they're out on a normal day, and the fact that it could be so random and I might not even find out until a while later. Also, I'm sort of scared how I would actually react if one of my family members died. How would I react in the moment? How would it affect me later? What if I somehow don't have a reaction for a while and everyone thinks I'm just soulless? What would I do if one of my parents randomly died one day? Things along those lines scare me quite a bit, and sometimes I even get super anxious thinking about it. That humanity has already begun its slow decline into oblivion. Based on all the bullshit and corruption we're constantly seeing. That Alzheimer's and dementia runs in my family and I might get it one day. Slowly losing your memory of who you are and your life. I've seen what it does to people and the people who care for them, and I never want to have to go through or put my family through that. It terrifies me. Look man, obviously the loss of my family members is my deepest fear in life. But that's a tad bit too basic. The Mandela Catalog, it's a YouTube series that recently opened. It's an analog horror series and I swear to God man, I haven't been able to sleep at night for very long. Genuinely horrifying. Loss. I didn't have many friends in my childhood. My parents also had little time for me back then. So it's normal for me that I don't really get attached to someone. BC, after over 15 years of loneliness you learn to get by on your own. In the beginning of 2020, a girl managed to knock down these walls. She knew everything about me and I loved her more than anything. I had some girls before that, but this time it felt different. She could read me like a book. Then it got complicated. BC of my issues, and out of fear to hurt her I cut her off. Still the worst decision of my life. I lost her and I'll never get her back. I have a GF now, but I can't even open up to her about anything, out of fear that I'll get attached again and then lose her too, like all these girls before her. I never want to experience that again. I'm not really fearful of anything apart from the possibility of being alone for the rest of my life. I need a deep connection with someone to want to be together, and it's hard for me to see that happening with my looks and personality. Death. The Mexican cartels. The idea that I could end up being alone for the rest of my life. The thought that my ex could actually be the one, even if others tell me where wasn't. Spiders. Fuck spiders. Some people nowadays who honestly claim that the Holocaust wasn't real. That seriously makes me feel numb everywhere. Feeling that everything is going okay, usually is signal that something bad is coming. How people are being so easily influenced and manipulated by news and social media. Things like January 6th could be just the beginning. The absolute and complete level of control news media and social media has over society as a whole, and the grand manipulation it has on our minds. Some of the smartest people I know have lost their senses to this manipulation. I believe this is ultimately what will collapse society. Manchester United's game plan. The idea of a medical condition that would bankrupt us. Thank Mercier. Dropping someone else's baby. That once you die, you just ceases to exist. And how that means nothing in life has any meaning or motive. Any spiders larger and 3 inches across. When the ocean too deep under you. Living as someone that people don't respect, being despised by my family and friends, failing at every job I try, even at jobs I think I'm good at, and dying alone. Swimming in the open sea. Leaving my room. I'm 40. Evil winning. It happened in North Korea, China, Russia, and to a lesser degree, all the time here in America. Thanks for visiting Reddit Town Hall. Have a great day.